Hey guys! Tonight we are traveling back to a time that seems almost idyllic. A picture postcard past of sprawling suburbs, chrome-covered cars, and endless summer days. We're heading to mid-century America, a time of booming prosperity and boundless optimism. But beneath that sunny, cheerful surface, a terrifying fear gripped the nation every single summer. It was a silent, invisible enemy that could turn a perfectly healthy child into a cripple overnight. Or worse, it was a disease that haunted every parent's dreams and turned public swimming pools into places of terror. Tonight, we're going to experience what it was like to be a child during the age of polio. We're going to feel that summer sun on our skin, taste the ice-cold Kool-Aid, and hear the familiar jingle of the ice cream truck. But we're also going to feel that creeping background dread, and let's be real, a 1950s summer would be a challenge for most of us today. Forget polio for a second. Imagine no air conditioning, cars with no seatbelts, Jell-O with savory things suspended in it, and only 3 channels on the television, all of which signed off at 10 p.m. You probably wouldn't have survived the sheer boredom. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a quiet and simple way to support the channel. And while you're at it, I'd love to see where and when you're tuning in from. Go ahead and drop your city and local time in the comments. It's always a little fascinating to see our community of history lovers spread across the globe. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first thing you're aware of is the light. It's a bright, buttery, golden yellow light pouring in through your bedroom window, and it means you've already slept too late. Summer has its own clock, and the sun is its only hand. You throw off the thin cotton sheet, and the world outside your window is already buzzing with life. The rhythmic drone of a distant lawnmower, the high-pitched laughter of the neighbor kids who are always up before you, the percussive thwack of a baseball hitting a worn leather mitt. This is the symphony of July. And you are 10 years old. Life is, for the most part, perfect. Your house is one of dozens just like it. A neat little box with a tidy green lawn, nestled on a street with a hopeful name like Maple Drive or Sunnyvale Court. These are the suburbs, a brand new invention, it seems, carved out of what used to be farmland. It's a direct result of the great post-war baby boom, a historical fact you don't know about but are very much a part of. All you know is that the neighborhood is teeming with kids your age, a ready-made army of playmates for the great. Glorious. 3-month war against boredom that is summer vacation. You clatter down the stairs and into the kitchen. The air smells of coffee and toast. Your mother is at the sink, her hands in a cloud of soap suds. She turns and gives you a smile, but it seems a little tight this morning, a little tired around the eyes. You don't think much of it. Adults are always tired. You pour yourself a mountain of sugar-coated cereal, add a splash of milk, and eat standing up, because sitting down would waste precious seconds of sunlight. Don't just run out, your mother says, her back to you again. Let me see you first. You sigh. This is a new rule this summer. She makes you stick out your tongue, tilts your chin to the light, and puts the back of her hand on your forehead. She's checking for something. You don't know what. A fever? Maybe? She does this every morning now. Okay, she says. Her inspection complete. Go on. But stay on our street, and don't go over to the Johnson's house. I heard little Timmy has a summer cold. You're out the screen door before she can add any more instructions. The door slams shut behind you with a satisfying bang. A sound that is as much a part of summer as the chirp of crickets. The heat of the day hasn't fully settled in yet. The grass is still cool and damp beneath your bare feet. The air smells of chlorophyll and possibility. Your friends, Billy and Mark, are already waiting for you at the end of your driveway. Leaning on their bicycles, their faces expectant. The only agenda for the day is to not have an agenda. Your only screen time is the time you spend with your nose pressed against the screen door, waiting for something to happen. Your world is a small, self-contained universe. It stretches from the big oak tree at one end of the street to the sewer grate at the other. This is the arena for your games of stickball, using a broom handle for a bat and a chalk-drawn square on the pavement for a home plate. It's the hunting ground for games of hide-and-seek that last until twilight, with sacred, unspoken rules about what constitutes a fair hiding place. The game isn't over until you hear the chorus of mothers' voices calling you in for dinner, a signal that ripples down the street from house to house. Lunch is a haphazard affair. You thunder back into your house, grab a sandwich made with unnaturally white bread, and drink a glass of bright red Kool-Aid that stains your lips for the rest of the afternoon. As you're eating, you hear your mother on the phone in the living room. Her voice is low, hushed. You can only catch snippets of the conversation. Another one, over on Elm Street. A pause. Yes, the hospital. They took her last night. Another pause. Longer this time. The doctor said just a fever at first. Then the stiffness in her neck. Your mother sees you listening, and her face hardens slightly. She turns away, lowering her voice even more. And you can't hear the rest. You shrug it off. Adult conversations are boring. They're always about sick people or money. You finish your sandwich and you're back out the door, the slam of the screen punctuating your escape. The afternoon sun is high and hot now. The asphalt of the street is soft and sticky under the soles of your sneakers. You and your friends decide to embark on an expedition to the creek at the edge of the woods, a place you are technically not supposed to go. The creek is a magical place, cool and shady, with little minnows that dart away from your shadow and smooth. Flat stones perfect for skipping. You spend an hour damming up a section of it to make a small pool, the cold water a blessed relief on your hot skin. On your way back, you see something unusual. A big gray truck is moving slowly down a neighboring street, trailing a thick, white cloud of fog behind it. It's the DDT truck. The fog smells strange, chemically and sweet. Some of the older kids are running behind it, laughing and disappearing into the white mist. It looks like fun, like running through a cloud. You start to run towards it, but Billy grabs your arm. "My mom says we can't," he says, his voice serious. "She says the fog is poison." "It's not poison," Mark argues. "It's to kill the mosquitoes." You stand there, conflicted. It's just one more strange rule in a summer that's starting to feel full of them. Don't run in the fog. Don't drink from the hose. Don't go to the public pool. That was the biggest disappointment of the summer. The huge, sparkling public pool, the centerpiece of summer, was closed at the beginning of July. They said it was for repairs, but you overheard your father telling your uncle on the phone that it was because of the sickness. Historians and scientists still debate precisely why polio epidemics peaked so dramatically in the summer months. For decades, the blame was placed squarely on public swimming pools, a theory that led to widespread closures and disappointed children all across the country. Later research would suggest that while pools might have been a factor, the real reasons were likely more complex, having to do with how the virus survived in warmer weather and how children gathered in closer proximity during school vacation. But for you, in this moment, all you know is that the place you love most, the place that smells of chlorine and sunshine, is locked and empty, the highlight of the afternoon, as it often is the arrival of the ice cream truck. You can hear its tinny, repetitive jingle from 3 blocks away, a siren song for every child in the neighborhood. It triggers a frantic search for loose change, a desperate plea to your mother for a dime or a quarter. You get your favorite, a creamsicle, with its impossibly orange sherbet exterior and its vanilla ice cream core. The taste is pure, unadulterated happiness. You sit on the curb with your friends, the cold melting faster than you can eat it, dripping down your sticky fingers. Life, you think, cannot possibly get any better than this. Later, there's a neighborhood potluck in the Miller's backyard. This is the quintessential social event of the suburbs. The men stand around the grill, drinking beer and talking about cars. The women lay out a feast on picnic tables, casseroles, potato salad, and the ubiquitous, mystifying Jell-O salads, bright green or red concoctions with shredded carrots, bits of fruit, and sometimes, horrifyingly, miniature marshmallows, suspended in gelatin like prehistoric insects in amber. It's a culinary tradition that defies all modern understanding of flavor pairing. You're more interested in the dessert table. Brownies, cookies, a big watermelon cut into a giant. Toothy smile, but as you reach for a brownie, your mother's hand gently intercepts yours. Why don't you have one of the ones I made? Honey, she says, steering you towards her own plate of cookies. We know where these have been. You look at her, confused. But you take her cookie. It's just another rule. The party is full of hushed conversations that stop whenever you get too close. You see Mrs. Davis dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief while talking to your mother. You hear Mr. Henderson telling your dad about a new case at his office in the city. The words are always vague. The scare, the season, the paralysis. The adults have a secret language of fear, and you are not meant to understand it. They are trying to build a wall of normalcy around you, to protect your summer. But the fear is seeping through the cracks. They are like zookeepers, smiling for the visitors while knowing there is a tiger loose in the park. As dusk begins to settle, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, someone brings out a jar. It's time to catch fireflies. This is the magic hour. The air cools. The world softens. You run across the lawns, your bare hands cupping the tiny, blinking lights, placing them carefully into the jar until you have a living lantern. You lie on your back in the grass, holding the jar up to the sky, watching your own personal constellation of captured stars. You feel a sense of profound, timeless peace. In this moment, you are invincible. You are eternal. You are a child in summer, and nothing bad can ever happen to you. Eventually, your mother calls your name. It's time to go in. You let the fireflies go, watching them blink away into the darkness. You walk home, your body tired from a day of running and playing, your mind full of the simple, perfect joy of being alive. You go upstairs to your room and climb into bed. Through your window, you can see your parents sitting on the front porch swing. Your father has his arm around your mother. They are not talking. They are just watching your window. They think you are asleep, but you are watching them. And even from this distance, you can see the look on their faces. It's a look of intense, overwhelming love. But it's mixed with something else. Something you've been seeing all summer. In the faces of all the adults, it is pure, unadulterated terror, and it is directed right at you. You close your eyes and pretend to be asleep. The comforting drone of the cicadas outside your window, doing little to settle the new. Strange unease that is beginning to stir in your own heart. That night, you dream of fireflies, but instead of blinking with a gentle yellow light, they glow with a feverish, angry red. You wake up with the ghost of that image behind your eyes. A faint sense of wrongness that you can't quite shake. The morning is just as bright and sunny as the day before. But the world feels a little different. The symphony of summer sounds a little off-key. The change begins at breakfast. Your mother, who usually lets you run free after her morning forehead check, puts a hand on your shoulder before you can make your escape. Just in the yard today, she says, her voice leaving no room for argument. Nowhere else. I mean it. But Billy and Mark are going to the comic book store. You protest. This is a betrayal of the highest summer order. A trip to the comic book store is a sacred pilgrimage. No, she says, and her face has a closed, stubborn look you know is impossible to argue with. You can play in the yard. I'll make a pitcher of lemonade. This is a terrible consolation prize. The yard, which was once a perfectly acceptable launchpad for adventure, now feels like a prison. It is a green, grassy cage You spend the morning listlessly kicking a ball against the side of the house. A repetitive thump, thump, thump. That is the sound of pure, undiluted boredom. You are under house arrest, and your only crime was being a kid in July. From your yard, you can see the rest of the world moving on without you. You see Billy and Mark ride past on their bikes, their voices excited, and you feel a pang of jealous rage. You see the mailman on his rounds, the bread man in his truck. But you also notice other things. You notice that fewer kids are out today. The street, usually a bustling highway of tricycles and roller skates, is quieter. The whispers you used to only catch in snippets are getting louder now. More distinct. Sitting on your front steps, you can hear Mrs. Henderson talking to your mother over the back fence. This time, you hear the word clearly. Polio. It's a strange, soft word. It doesn't sound dangerous. It sounds like a type of flower, or the name of a foreign doll, but the way the women say it in a low, fearful hiss gives it a terrible power. They confirmed it was polio. Mrs. Henderson says, that little girl on Elm Street, the one they took to the hospital. They say she can't move her legs. Your mother makes a shushing sound and glances nervously toward where you are sitting. The conversation dissolves back into unintelligible murmurs. You try out the word in your head. Polio. You think about the little girl who can't move her legs. You try to imagine it, but your mind can't quite grasp the concept. Your legs are for running, for climbing, for pumping the pedals of your bike until you feel like you're flying. The idea of them simply stopping is too alien to comprehend. The rules, which were once just annoying suggestions, now become rigid, unbreakable laws. The yard is your entire world. Your mother wages a full-scale war against household pests. The whack of her fly swatter becomes a constant punctuation to the day, as she hunts down every fly with the righteous fury of a crusading knight. You start to feel sorry for the flies. She boils the drinking water. She washes the vegetables from your own garden as if they have been dipped in poison. One day, you see Billy. He's in his yard, and you're in yours. A vast, unbridgeable expanse of lawn between you. He's wearing something new. A little white cloth bag, tied with a string, hanging around his neck. What's that you call over to him? He holds it up. It's a camphor bag, he says proudly. My mom says it keeps the polio away. It stinks. It does stink, even from 20 feet away. You can smell the sharp, medicinal odor like mothballs. It is a strange, primitive magic, a folk remedy born of desperation. The idea is that the strong smell will ward off the bad air or the germs that carry the sickness. Your own mother dismisses it as nonsense, but you see her linger a little too long over an article in the newspaper about it. Her brow furrowed in concentration. When the enemy is invisible, people will try anything, hang any smelly pouch around their children's necks, just to feel like they are doing something. The public face of the fear is everywhere now. When your mother takes you with her to the grocery store, you see the little cardboard cans at every checkout counter. They are for the March of Dimes. On the cans are pictures of children, sad-faced children. Some are in wheelchairs. Some are wearing heavy, complicated-looking metal braces on their legs. You stare at the pictures, fascinated and repulsed. The children look like you, but they also look like broken toys. You don't fully understand that the dimes dropped into the slot are meant to fund the hunt for a cure, to pay for the hospitals and the iron lungs. You just know it's part of the great, shadowy thing that is ruining your summer. Your world, once so expansive, shrinks with each passing day. The movie theater, with its glorious air conditioning and technicolor dreams, is declared off limits. So is the church picnic. Any gathering of people is now seen as a potential threat. You overhear your parents talking about it? Is it the crowds, your mother asks? Her voice frayed with anxiety. Or is it the flies I read that flies can carry it? I heard it lives in the dust, your father replies, running a hand through his hair. Helen over at work. Her boy got it. She swears it's because they live near the city dump. This was the true terror of polio for parents. No one knew for sure how it spread. The official theories were vague and often contradictory. The virus itself had only been isolated in a lab a few years prior. So, in the absence of clear scientific guidance, fear filled the vacuum. This is the debate that raged in households across the country. Was the enemy in the water, in the air, in the food, on the unwashed hands of a playmate, or carried on the legs of a housefly with no single identifiable enemy to fight? Parents fought them all. They boiled, they scrubbed, they isolated, and they prayed. The most potent symbol of your stolen summer remains the community pool. One hot, listless afternoon, you and Mark, who is also under house arrest in his own yard, decide to make a break for it. You sneak out, get on your bikes, and ride the 10 blocks to the park. You tell yourselves you just want to see it. The silence is the first thing you notice. The pool, which should be a chaos of shouting, splashing, and lifeguards' whistles, is utterly still. You press your faces against the tall, chain-link fence. The water is a perfect, placid, heartbreakingly blue sheet of glass. The diving board stands over it like a lonely sentinel. A beach ball has been left behind, floating motionlessly in the center of the deep end, a bright red and yellow symbol of abandoned fun. The place smells of chlorine and hot concrete, a ghost smell of the joy that should be happening there. It looks like a photograph of a swimming pool. Not the real thing. It is a promise that has been broken, and you feel a profound sense of loss. A grief for your own happiness. The real turning point comes a week later. There's a family on your street, the Petersons. They have a daughter named Carol Ann, a quiet girl with pigtails who is a year younger than you. You don't play with her much, but you see her all the time. One day, you notice you haven't seen her for a few days. The Petersons' house is quiet. The curtains are drawn. Then you see the car. It's a big black car. And the man who gets out is carrying a black bag. It's Dr. Miller, the town doctor. He goes into the house and doesn't come out for a long time. Your mother calls you inside, her face grim. She doesn't say anything, but she starts cleaning the kitchen with a frantic, furious energy. Later that evening, an ambulance comes. You have never seen an ambulance on your street before. Its single red light flashes silently, painting the trees and houses in a pulsing, rhythmic wash of red. It is a terrifyingly quiet arrival. 2 men in white coats go into the house with a stretcher. When they come out, there is a small shape under a white sheet. They load it into the back of the ambulance, and it drives away, still without its siren, as if not wanting to alarm the neighborhood. But it is too late. Everyone is alarmed. Everyone is standing on their porches, watching. Their faces pale in the twilight. The Petersons' house is now officially a place of fear. The other children are told in no uncertain terms that they are not to go near it. The invisible wall around your own yard suddenly feels much more necessary and much more real. The thing, the sickness, the polio, is no longer on Elm Street or in the newspaper or in your mother's hushed phone calls. It is here. It is 4 houses down. It has a name you know and a face you have seen. You lie in bed that night. The image of the ambulance is silent. Flashing light burned into your mind. The usual summer night sounds, the crickets and the distant train whistle, are still there, but they sound different now. Lonelier? The world outside your window no longer seems full of promise. It seems full of invisible threats. You feel a bit of a chill. The summer nights can get cool, you tell yourself. You swallow, and your throat feels a little scratchy. You must have been shouting too much today, and there's a dull ache starting to bloom behind your eyes. A headache probably caused by staring at the bright, empty swimming pool for too long. You dismiss it all. It's nothing. A summer cold, that's all. Just like the one Timmy Johnson had. You turn over, punch your pillow into a more comfortable shape, and close your eyes. Confident in the simple, unshakable immortality of childhood. You are sure that tomorrow you will feel fine. You are wrong. So profoundly, terrifyingly wrong. You don't wake up feeling fine. You wake up feeling like you've been run over by a truck. The dull headache from last night has blossomed into a throbbing, pounding thing that lives behind your eyes. Every time you move your head on the pillow, it sends a spike of pain through your skull. Your throat isn't just scratchy. It feels like you've swallowed a handful of sand, and you are hot. A deep internal, radiating heat that has nothing to do with the summer sun. You lie still, trying to wish it away. Your plan is to pretend to be well, if you can just get downstairs and out the door without your mother noticing. The fresh air and the distraction of playing will surely burn this sickness away. It is the logic of a child, for whom illness is an inconvenience, not a condition. You swing your legs out of bed, and a wave of dizziness makes the room tilt. Your muscles ache with a deep, unfamiliar soreness. You manage to get dressed, your movements slow and clumsy. You make it to the top of the stairs and begin your descent, clinging to the banister. Your mother's in the kitchen. She takes one look at you and her face changes. The casual morning smile evaporates. Replaced by the sharp, focused attention you saw her give the sick children in the March of Dimes posters. You don't look well, she says. It's not a question. I'm fine, you lie. Your voice coming out as a weak croak. She doesn't even bother to argue. She walks over, her steps quick and purposeful, and places the back of her hand on your forehead. Her hand feels impossibly cool against your burning skin. Oh, honey, she whispers, and the fear in her voice is a cold dread that cuts through your feverish haze. Back to bed. Right now. There is no fighting it. You are led back upstairs and tucked into your sheets, which now feel scratchy and suffocating. Your bedroom, once your personal kingdom, becomes your prison cell. The cheerful sounds of summer drifting in through the open window, the laughter of your friends. The distant jingle of the ice cream truck are a form of torture. They are reminders of a world that you are suddenly no longer a part of. The day dissolves into a miserable, confusing blur. Time stretches and compresses. Sometimes an hour feels like a minute. Sometimes a minute feels like a week. Your mother keeps coming in with cool washcloths for your head and glasses of water that you can barely swallow. She brings you a bowl of chicken soup, but the smell of it makes your stomach churn. She offers you red Jell-O on a saucer, that universal sign of childhood sickness, even in your delirium. You recognize that wobbly, flavorless cube for the culinary insult that it is. Your fever climbs. The world takes on a strange, watery quality. The patterns on your wallpaper seem to ripple and sway. You drift in and out of a shallow, restless sleep, filled with anxious dreams. You are at the swimming pool, but the water is thick like tar. You are running from the DDT truck, but your legs won't move fast enough. You are vaguely aware of your parents' hushed, frantic conversations outside your door. You hear your father's voice, low and tense. On the telephone in the hall, 103, he says, and his neck seems stiff, the stiffness. That's the new thing. When you try to move your head, your neck protests with a deep, searing pain. Your back aches with a strange rigidity you've never felt before. You are a machine whose joints are slowly rusting shut. This is the cruel genius of the polio virus. For the vast majority of people, it infected upwards of 95%. It was nothing more than a passing flu. A few days of fever, a sore throat. And then it was gone, leaving behind a lifetime of immunity. It was a common historical fact that millions of people had polio and never even knew it. But for the unlucky few, for the 1 or 2 in 100, the virus didn't just pass through, it took a wrong turn. It left the throat and the gut, and it invaded the central nervous system. It began to attack and destroy the motor neurons, the cells that carry messages from your brain to your muscles. And that is when a simple summer flu became every parent's worst nightmare. Later that afternoon, you hear a car pull into the driveway. You hear the front door open and close, and the low murmur of adult voices downstairs. A few minutes later, your bedroom door opens. Your father is there, trying to smile, but his eyes are wide with fear, and behind him is Dr. Miller. He is a huge man. Or maybe it's just your fevered perspective that makes him seem so... He fills the doorway. He smells of antiseptic, old paper, and the faint, sweet scent of the pipe tobacco he smokes. He carries the same black leather bag you saw him carry into the Petersons' house. A shiver of pure cold terror runs through you. This is real. This is happening. The doctor is here. "Well now, young man," he says, his voice a low rumble. "Your mother tells me you're feeling a bit under the weather." He sets his bag down and pulls a chair up to your bed. He opens the bag, and you stare at the strange, gleaming metal instruments inside. He takes out a thermometer, a thin glass stick with a silver tip. This is the low-tech diagnostic tool of the era. He puts it under your tongue. Hold that there for 3 minutes. He says, "No talking." It is the longest 3 minutes of your life. It is the original. Analog version of your call is important to us. Please hold. You lie there, the cold glass under your tongue, while the doctor makes small talk with your mother, who is hovering anxiously in the doorway. You can feel the doctor's professional calm, but you can also feel your mother's panic radiating off her like heat. Finally, he takes the thermometer out and holds it up to the light, squinting at the thin red line. He makes a non-committal grunting sound and shakes it down with a snap of his wrist. "All right," he says, his voice all business now. "Let's have a look at you." The examination that follows is gentle, but terrifying in its strangeness. He listens to your chest with a cold stethoscope. He peers into your throat with a little flashlight, pressing your tongue down with a flat wooden stick that makes you gag. Then he begins the tests. The tests you don't know are tests. "Ooh, can you touch your chin to your chest for me?" he asks. You try. You concentrate all your energy on this one simple movement, but your neck muscles refuse. They are locked, rigid, and a bolt of pain shoots down your spine when you try to force it. You shake your head, tears of frustration welling in your eyes. It's the easiest test in the world, and you are flunking it spectacularly. "That's all right," he says, though his face is grim. "Now, let's see if you can sit up." He puts a hand behind your back to help you, but when you try to engage your stomach and back muscles, nothing happens. It's the strangest sensation. Your brain is sending the command, but the message isn't being delivered. It's like the wires have been cut. You feel a surge of panic. Your body is no longer yours. It has become a foreign country with a hostile government. He lays you back down and takes a small, black rubber hammer from his bag. He taps you just below the kneecap. Your leg is supposed to kick out. It's a reflex, a joke you and your friends do to each other. He taps your right knee. Nothing. He taps it again, harder. A faint, pathetic twitch. He moves to the left knee. He taps. Nothing. He has finished his examination. He packs his instruments back into his black bag with slow, deliberate movements. He doesn't look at you. He looks at your parents, who are standing clustered in the doorway, their faces ashen. He gives a small, almost imperceptible shake of his head, and in that moment, you are not just a kid with a bad summer cold. You are one of them. You are one of the sad children from the March of Dimes posters. You are Carol Ann Peterson. The doctor clears his throat. "I'd like to speak with you both in the hall," he says softly. They close the door, but it doesn't latch properly. You can hear their voices, low and urgent. The stiffness in the neck is the classic sign. Dr. Miller is saying, the fever, the muscle weakness. There's no doubt in my mind. What do we do? Your father's voice is strained, broken. We have to get him to the hospital. Immediately. They'll need to do a spinal tap to confirm the diagnosis. To check for the virus in the cerebrospinal fluid, it's the only way to be sure. A spinal tap. The words themselves are terrifying, sharp, and violent. You don't know what it is, but you imagine a large needle, a hammer, something being driven into your back. You hear your mother make a noise, a choked, strangled sob that she quickly smothers. Will he be like... She can't finish the sentence. It's too soon to tell, the doctor says, his professional voice devoid of any real comfort. Every case is different. The paralysis can be temporary, or it can be permanent. It can affect a single muscle, or it can affect the entire body right now. Our only job is to get him to a place where they can manage the symptoms and monitor his breathing. His breathing. Why would they need to monitor his breathing? You can breathe just fine. The door opens again. Your father comes in alone. He walks to your bedside and kneels down, so his face is level with yours. He's trying so hard to smile, but his eyes are swimming with tears. His hands are trembling. Well, sport, he says, and his voice is a terrible imitation of cheerful confidence. Good news. We're going to take a little trip, just for a few days, to the hospital. The doctors there have all sorts of new medicines that will make you feel better in no time. He is lying. You know he is lying. You saw the look on his face. You heard the doctor. You look past him through the window, and you see it, parked at the curb. The same black and white ambulance that came for Carol Ann. Its red light isn't flashing yet, but it's there. Waiting. For you. The world outside your window is still bright and sunny. A group of kids chase each other down the street, their laughter carrying on the warm summer air. Your life, your perfect, ordinary, invincible life, is happening out there without you. And you are in here, in this feverish bed, about to be taken away to the same place the girl who disappeared was taken. The fever has become a fear so cold and so absolute that it burns away everything else. The world becomes a series of disjointed, blurry snapshots. Your father's face, pale and strained, as he lifts you from your bed. The feel of a soft, worn blanket being wrapped around you. The dizzying sensation of being carried down the stairs and out into the shocking brightness of the late afternoon. You see your mother on the porch, her hand pressed to her mouth, her shoulders shaking. She doesn't come any closer. You understand, in a distant, feverish way, that she is afraid of you. Then you are inside the ambulance. It smells clean and strange, like the doctor's bag. It doesn't have seats like a car. It has a long, narrow bed called a gurney. 2 men in white uniforms put you on it and strap you in. Your father climbs in and sits on a small bench opposite you, his hands clasped tightly between his knees. The doors close with a heavy, metallic thud, shutting out the familiar world of your street. The ride is unnervingly smooth and quiet. The siren doesn't wail. They don't use it in the suburbs, you realize. So as not to cause a panic, this silent, discreet removal is somehow more terrifying than a screaming alarm. You look out the back window and see your house, your yard, your life, shrinking away until it is gone. You arrive at the hospital through a special entrance, one for ambulances only. The doors swing open and the world becomes a rush of motion and strange smells. The air is thick with the scent of antiseptic, floor wax, and something else. A faint, sickly sweet smell you can't identify. The lights are bright, fluorescent bars that hum and make everything look pale and greenish. This is the last time you will see your father for a long time. At the entrance to a long corridor, a nurse in a crisp, white, starched uniform stops him. She is a wall of professional kindness. "This is as far as you can go, sir," she says, her voice gentle but firm. The polio ward is under strict quarantine. Your father kneels by your gurney. He takes your hand. "You be brave." "Sport," he says, his voice thick with unshed tears. You do what the doctors and nurses say. "Mom and I will be right here. We'll see you soon." You want to cry out, to cling to him, but your throat is tight and your body feels strangely heavy, disconnected from your will. You watch him turn and walk away. His shoulders slumped. A set of double doors swings shut behind him. And he is gone. You are alone. You are wheeled down an endless succession of hallways. The squeak of the gurney's wheels and the soft, rubber-soled footsteps of the nurses are the only sounds. You pass rooms and doorways, catching glimpses of a secret, sterile world you never knew existed. Finally, you arrive at another set of double doors. A sign on the wall reads, Isolation Ward 3B. No admittance. The doors open, and you are pushed inside. You have entered another country. The ward is a long, high-ceilinged room, painted a pale, institutional green. Lining both walls are rows of identical metal beds, each covered with a thin, tightly tucked white sheet. And in almost every bed is a child. Some are your age, some are older, some are just toddlers. There are boys and girls, their hair matted with sweat, their faces pale against the white pillows. A profound, unnatural quiet hangs over the room, the kind of quiet that is made of suppressed fear. The only sounds are the rustle of the nurses' uniforms, the clink of metal on a tray, and the distant, heartbreaking sound of a small child crying softly for its mother. Your identity is the first casualty. The two nurses lift you from the gurney onto one of the empty beds. They take off your clothes, the familiar t-shirt and shorts you were wearing when you were still you, and they put them in a paper bag, in their place. You are dressed in a thin, rough, shapeless gown that ties in the back. It's a masterpiece of terrible design, offering neither warmth nor dignity. It's like being forced to wear a napkin, with your clothes gone. You feel as though your name and your history have been taken away. 2. You are no longer the boy who lives on Maple Drive, who loves creamsicles and stickball. You are the polio case in bed 7. The next few hours are a blur of uncomfortable, frightening procedures. A nurse comes and takes your temperature. Another pricks your finger for a drop of blood. And then, the promised test arrives. The spinal tap, a doctor, younger than Dr. Miller, and 2 nurses come to your bedside. They explain what is going to happen in calm. Simple terms that do nothing to calm you. They need to take a small sample of the fluid from your spine to see if the sickness is in it. You'll just feel a little pinch, the doctor says cheerfully. A statement you instinctively know is a colossal lie. They have you turn onto your side and curl into a ball, pulling your knees up to your chest. One nurse holds your shoulders. The other holds your legs, pinning you in place. You feel the doctor's cold fingers probing the base of your spine, searching for the right spot between the vertebrae. You feel the sharp, cold sting of an antiseptic wipe. Okay now, be very still, the doctor says. You feel a sharp, piercing pressure. It is not a pinch. It is a deep, invasive violation. A pain that is both sharp and dull at the same time. You cry out, a raw, terrified sound. The nurse holding your shoulders whispers, "Shh, it's almost over. You're being so brave." You are not being brave. You are terrified out of your mind. After what feels like an eternity, the pressure is gone. A small, round bandage is placed on your back. The whole ordeal took less than a minute, but it has left you trembling and weeping with a sense of helpless violation. Later, the doctor comes back. The results are in. He confirms what everyone already knew. You have poliomyelitis, hearing the official word. The scientific name for the monster doesn't make you feel better. It makes it worse. It gives the monster a formal title. Your new life in the White Ward begins. The routine is monotonous and centered around a strange, archaic-seeming treatment. It's called the Sister Kenny method, named after an Australian nurse who pioneered it. It was controversial in the medical community, but it was one of the few active therapies available for polio, and it was practiced in hospitals across the country, several times a day. Nurses come to your bed with large, Steaming tubs. They pull out thick strips of wool flannel that have been soaked in scalding water, wring them out with practiced efficiency, and then wrap them. Steaming hot around your aching, paralyzed limbs. The heat is intense, almost painful at first, a deep, penetrating heat that makes your skin flush bright red. The idea is that the moist heat will relax the spasming muscles, relieve the pain, and prevent the limbs from becoming stiff and deformed. The nurses are incredibly skilled, working quickly to apply the packs before they cool, wrapping them tightly to hold in the heat. They do your legs, your arms, your back. The process takes nearly an hour. The room fills with steam and the smell of wet wool. As soon as one set of packs cools, another hot set is applied. It is an endless, laborious cycle. It's like the world's worst, most uncomfortable spa day. Repeated over and over, the food is another form of torment. It arrives on a metal tray, always the same. A lump of grayish meat whose origin is a mystery. A scoop of overcooked green beans. A slice of white bread. It has no taste. You have no appetite. You push it around the plate, longing for your mother's terrible Jell-O salad. For anything that tastes like home. But the worst part, the true, defining horror of the White Ward, is the loneliness. The quarantine is absolute. You are cut off from everyone you have ever known and loved. The nurses are your only human contact, but they are too busy, too overworked, to offer any real comfort. They are kind, but they are not your mother. This total separation of sick children from their parents was standard procedure, driven by a desperate fear of contagion, but no one at the time truly understood the profound psychological damage it caused. Medical historians still debate the long-term effects of these prolonged, isolated hospitalizations, but they mostly agree it was a unique form of trauma. A child's most fundamental need in a time of fear and pain is the comfort of a parent, and the medical system of the day, in its attempt to save your body, systematically denied you this. The emotional scars were simply a price they were willing to let you pay. Your only connection to your family is through a large plate glass window at the end of the ward. Once a day, a nurse will wheel your bed over to it, and on the lawn outside, you will see them, your mother and father. They look small and far away. They smile and wave frantically. Your mother holds up a sign she has made. With big block letters, "We love you. Be brave." Your father holds up your baseball glove. You try to wave back, but your arm feels like it's made of lead. You can't hear them. They can't hear you. You are separated by a thick, unbridgeable wall of glass. You watch them until your allotted time is up and a nurse wheels you back to your spot in the long, silent row of beds. You see their faces crumple as you're taken away. The days bleed into one another. You lose track of time. Your world is the white ceiling above your bed. The green walls, the faces of the other children. You learn to read the state of the ward by its sounds. The soft weeping of the little boy in the bed next to you. The sharp, sudden cry of a child having a nightmare. The squeak of the nurse's rubber-soled shoes on the polished linoleum floor. And then, one night, you hear a new sound. It comes from the far end of the ward, from a corner that is kept slightly darker than the rest. It is a rhythmic, mechanical sound, a deep, airy whoosh, followed by a soft, percussive hiss. Whoosh, hiss, whoosh, hiss. It is a steady, tireless, inhuman rhythm. It sounds like a great beast, sleeping in the corner of the room, like a giant bellows, breathing for something that can no longer breathe for itself. You have no idea what it is, but the sound fills you with a primal, instinctual dread that is deeper than any fear you have felt before. You pull the thin sheet up to your chin and stare into the shadows at the end of the long, white room. You listen to the soft crying of the other children, the distant footsteps of the night nurse, and the steady, monstrous, mechanical breathing that seems to be counting down the seconds of your new, terrifying life. Whoosh, hiss, whoosh, hiss. The sound becomes the new rhythm of your world. Whoosh, hiss, whoosh, hiss. It is the sound the tide makes on a distant, rocky shore. It is the sound of a giant sleeping, his breath impossibly deep and steady. It underlays everything, through the day's quiet hum and the night's deeper silence. The sound is always there, a mechanical heartbeat for the whole ward. You ask a nurse about it during one of your morning sessions with the hot, steaming wool packs. What's that noise, you ask, your voice small? The nurse, a kind woman with tired eyes named Nurse Roberts, doesn't look at you. She focuses on wrapping a fresh pack around your unresponsive leg. That's just a machine helping one of the other children breathe a little easier. Dear, she says. Her voice a little too bright, a little too cheerful. Nothing for you to worry about, but her evasiveness only deepens your fear. Adults only tell you not to worry when you absolutely should be worried. You spend your days watching the corner of the room where the sound originates. It's hard to see clearly from your bed. You can just make out a long, large shape. It looks like a big metal tank. Sometimes you see a flurry of activity around it. Nurses moving quickly, their white uniforms stark against the shadows. A few days later, you see it for the first time. Really see it. A new patient is brought into the ward. A boy, maybe a year or two older than you, with bright red hair. He is on a gurney, and his chest is heaving with a desperate, shallow effort. A doctor is walking alongside him, holding a small mask over his face. The boy's eyes are wide with a terror you recognize. They wheel him to the corner of the room, to the place where the sound lives, and they bring the machine out into the light. It is a monster. A great, cylindrical metal tank, painted a cheerful, hideously ironic shade of pale yellow. It is as long as a bed and as big around as a horse. It rests on the 4 sturdy legs, and at one end, a complex network of pumps and bellows is connected to an electric motor. It looks like a torpedo, or a miniature submarine designed for a single passenger on a one-way trip to the bottom of the sea. The nurses and the doctor work with a grim, practiced efficiency. They open a large hatch on the side of the tank, revealing a padded mattress inside. They lift the red-haired boy from the gurney and place him inside the metal tube. It is a horrifying process, like watching someone being placed in a sarcophagus. They slide his body in until only his head is sticking out of a hole at one end. A soft rubber collar is fitted around his neck, creating a seal. Then they close the heavy door and latch it shut. The boy's terrified. Freckled face is all that is visible of him now. A living head attached to a monstrous yellow body. The doctor flips a switch. The electric motor hums to life, and the great bellows at the end of the tank begins to move. In and out, in and out. And the sound begins. Whoosh! As the bellows expands, as it contracts, the boy's chest, visible above the rubber collar, rises and falls in perfect time with the machine. It is a slow, deep, unnatural movement. He is not breathing. The machine is breathing for him. You stare, mesmerized and horrified. This is the iron lung, the great tin beast. You finally understand. The polio virus, in its most cruel manifestation, doesn't just paralyze your arms and legs. It paralyzes the muscles that control your breathing. It attacks the diaphragm, the intercostal muscles between your ribs, the very muscles that have worked without your conscious thought every second of your life. And when they stop working, you stop breathing. Unless a machine does it for you. You will learn later, in a detached, academic way, the ingenious physics of the device. It does not pump air into the lungs. Instead, the bellows creates negative pressure inside the tank, a vacuum. This causes the patient's chest to expand, just as it would if their own muscles were pulling it open. The normal air pressure of the outside world then naturally flows into the lungs. When the bellows contracts, the pressure inside the tank equalizes. The chest falls, and the air flows out. It is a brilliant, life-saving, inside-out way to breathe. But in this moment, it is not brilliant. It is the most terrifying thing you have ever seen. The presence of the iron lung changes the atmosphere in the ward. It is a constant. 24-hour-a-day reminder of the ultimate stakes. Every child in the room is now acutely aware of their own breathing. You find yourself concentrating on each breath. Is it harder than the last one? Is your chest getting heavy? Is that a normal sigh or the beginning of a struggle? The psychological power of suggestion is immense. The rhythmic whoosh hiss of the lung is a constant question. Are you next? You learn about life inside the machine by watching the red-haired boy. You learn his name is Kevin. He is a prisoner in his yellow submarine. His entire world is mediated by the machine. The nurses place a large, angled mirror above his head, secured by a metal frame. This is his only window. He cannot turn his head. He can only look up. At the reflection of the room, he can see the white plaster ceiling. He can see the nurses as they approach. He can see the distorted, reflected faces of the other children in the ward. You sometimes catch his eye in the mirror, a flash of shared, terrified understanding. All of his care is performed through small, rubber-sealed portholes on the side of the tank. You watch as Nurse Roberts opens a porthole to give him an injection in his arm. You see another nurse skillfully change the bed linens inside the tank through a larger opening at the foot of the machine. It is a constant, difficult ballet of care, performed through tiny windows into his prison. One night, a thunderstorm rolls in. The wind howls outside and rain lashes against the ward's big windows. Then, with a loud crack of thunder that rattles the very building, the lights flicker and go out. The ward is plunged into absolute, terrifying darkness, and the sound, the whoosh hiss of the iron lung, stops. A collective gasp of horror comes from every child who is awake. In the sudden, profound silence, you can hear a frantic, choked gasping from the corner of the room. It is the sound of Kevin trying and failing to breathe. Then, you hear the frantic squeak of Nurse's shoes, the beam of a flashlight cutting through the blackness. The hand pump a voice shouts, "Get the hand pump!" There is a frantic, metallic clanking. And then a new sound begins. It is a rhythmic, manual thunk squish. Thunk squish. It is the sound of two nurses, working together, operating a large hand lever on the side of the lung, manually forcing the bellows in and out. They are breathing for him by hand. The lights flicker back on a minute later, and the electric motor hums back to life. But that minute of silent, gasping darkness has terrified you all in a way nothing else has. The machine that gives life can also be a tomb, and its only master is a fragile thread of electricity. The days pass, and the heaviness in your own chest seems to grow. At first you tell yourself it's your imagination, the power of suggestion, but then it becomes undeniable. Taking a deep breath requires a conscious effort. You feel like you're breathing through a thick, heavy blanket. Your body is tired, but you are afraid to fall asleep, afraid that you will stop breathing and not wake up. Dr. Miller comes to see you again. He listens to your chest for a long time. He makes you try to cough. The sound that comes out is a weak, pathetic puff of air. He confers with the head nurse. He looks at your chart. He looks at you. His face full of a sad, clinical pity. "Son," he says, his voice gentle, "your breathing muscles are getting tired. We need to give them a rest." You know what he means? Your heart begins to pound with a sick, frantic terror. "No," you whisper, "I'm breathing fine." "Just for a little while," he says, using the same placating tone your father used before they took you away. To let your body recover its strength. It will help you get better. You look past him, to the corner of the room. There are two iron lungs there now. Kevin's yellow one, and a newer one, painted a sterile, medical blue. It is empty, and it is waiting. There is no fighting it. Two nurses come to your bed. They are kind, their movements gentle, but firm. "Don't be scared. One of them says, "It's just like a big, warm hug." They lift you from your bed. Your body is limp, uncooperative. They slide you into the cold. Dark tube. The smell is of metal, oil, and sterilized rubber. It is the smell of the machine's insides. You feel the padded surface beneath you. Your head is the only part of you left in the world. They fit the tight, soft rubber collar around your neck. It feels like a leash. Okay, here we go. The nurse says, the heavy door swings shut with a soft, final click. You are sealed in. For a second, there is only darkness, silence, and the frantic, shallow breaths you're taking on your own. Then the doctor flips the switch. Whoosh! The machine takes its first breath. And it is a violent, shocking gasp that forces your chest to expand. It is not like your own breathing. It is an alien, mechanical force taking possession of your body. You try to exhale on your own, but you can't. You have to wait for the machine. Hiss. The pressure releases, and the air rushes out of your lungs. You are no longer in control. You can't breathe faster. You can't breathe slower. You can only surrender to the relentless, metallic rhythm. Whoosh, hiss, whoosh, hiss. A nurse positions the mirror above your head. You stare up at the reflection. You see the long, green room, the rows of beds, the figures of the nurses, and you see your own face, a small, pale, terrified face. With wide, staring eyes, a disembodied head, trapped on the end of a great blue, breathing beast. You are alive, but you are a prisoner. And the only sound in the universe is the steady, monstrous, life-giving, soul-stealing breath of the machine. Your world shrinks to the size of a metal cylinder. Your universe is the pale green ceiling, the faces of the nurses, and the distorted reflection of the ward in the mirror above your head. Time becomes a meaningless concept, measured only in the rhythmic cycles of the machine that breathes for you. Whoosh, hiss. Whoosh, hiss. It is the metronome of your life, a sound so constant that when you sleep, you hear it in your dreams. You learn to live as a head. You learn to talk between the machine's artificial breaths. Timing your sentences to the hiss of exhalation, you learn to eat with your head propped up on a pillow, a nurse patiently feeding you spoonfuls of lukewarm broth. You learn the geography of the water stains on the ceiling tiles, giving them names, imagining them as maps of strange, faraway lands. It is the most boring television channel in the world, and you watch it for hours on end. You are not alone in your metallic prison. Kevin, the red-haired boy in the yellow lung, is your neighbor. You talk sometimes. Your voice is small and thin in the large room. Your conversations chopped into pieces by the rhythm of your shared breathing machines. You talk about baseball, about comic books, about the lives you had before you were fed into these great tin beasts. You are members of a tiny, exclusive, and altogether wretched club. The Sister Kenny treatments continue. Even here, the nurses open the portholes on the side of your tank and slide the hot, wet wool packs inside, arranging them on your still, unresponsive limbs. It is a strange sensation, feeling the intense heat on your legs while the rest of you is sealed in cool metal. It is a reminder that the body inside the machine, the body you can no longer feel or command, is still there. Still a thing to be tended to, like a remote, inaccessible garden. Weeks pass. The acute, burning fever of the virus recedes, leaving behind a profound, bone-deep exhaustion. And then, one day, something changes. In the brief pause between the machine's hiss and its next whoosh, you take a tiny, fluttering breath on your own. It is a ghost of a breath, a muscle memory, but it is there. You feel it. A flicker of independent life in a body that has been a puppet of the machine. The doctor notices it. During his rounds, he places his stethoscope on your chest and listens intently. He tells the nurse to turn off the machine. The sudden silence is terrifying. The absence of the whoosh hiss is like the world holding its breath. For a second, you panic, then your own body takes over. You draw a ragged, shallow breath, then another. It is the hardest work you have ever done. Each breath is a monumental effort, a desperate climb up a steep hill. After 10 seconds that feel like an hour. The doctor nods. "Turn it on," he says. The familiar rhythm returns, taking the terrible burden from you. This begins the long, arduous process of weaning. It is the subject of endless debate among the doctors and nurses. You learn the great medical controversy of the ward, when to push a patient, and when to let them rest. Too soon. And their muscles will fail completely. Too late. And they may become psychologically dependent on the machine. Too terrified to ever leave. So they begin with moments, a minute at a time, several times a day. Each time the machine is turned off is a small, terrifying battle. You lie there, concentrating all of your being on the simple act of pulling air into your lungs. It is exhausting, painful work, but each time, you last a little longer. A minute becomes 5. 5 minutes become 10. The periods of freedom are islands of effort in an ocean of mechanical rest. The day finally comes when they slide you out of the lung for good. The feeling of the open air of the ward on your entire body is a shock. You are moved to a regular hospital bed in a different section of the ward. The part for patients in recovery. You have graduated. It feels less like a victory and more like a transfer to a minimum security facility. The first thing you do is look down at your own body. You haven't seen your legs in almost 2 months. The sight is horrifying. They are not your legs. They are thin, pale, withered things, like 2 sticks of chalk. The muscles have wasted away, leaving only skin and bone. You try to move them. You send the message from your brain. The same message you have sent without a thought 10 million times in your life. Move. Nothing happens. You try again. Concentrating, your face contorting with the effort. A tiny, pathetic flicker of a muscle in your right thigh. That is all. The virus is gone, but it has left a calling card. It has burned out the connections, leaving parts of your body deaf to the commands of your mind. This is the moment the true, lasting nature of your illness becomes real. The fever was a fire. This is the wreckage. Your new life is centered around a single room, the physical therapy department. It is a large, bright room that smells of sweat, rubbing alcohol, and a kind of dogged, desperate hope. It is filled with strange-looking equipment mats on the floor, parallel bars, stacks of weights, pulleys hanging from the ceiling. It is a torture chamber and a temple, and it is where you will spend the next several months of your life. Here you meet a new kind of authority figure, the physical therapist. Her name is Miss Carroll, and she is a small, strong woman with kind hands and an unbreakable will. She is your drill sergeant, your confessor, and your greatest ally. Your rehabilitation begins with a process known as muscle testing. It is a meticulous, humbling, and altogether obscure ritual of recovery. Miss Carroll has you lie on a mat, and for the next hour, she patiently tests every single muscle group from your waist down. Try to lift your leg, she says, her fingers probing your hip. You try. Nothing. She makes a note on a chart. Okay, now try to pull your foot toward you. You try. Nothing. Push against my hand. You push with all your might, a grunt of effort escaping your lips. She does not feel a thing. One by one. She works her way through the dozens of individual muscles, grading each on a scale of 0 to 5. 0 is no contraction at all. 5 is normal strength. Your chart is a sea of zeros and ones. It is a report card of your body's utter failure. Then the real work begins. The daily, grinding, painful routine of physical therapy. At first, it is all passive range of motion. Since you cannot move your own limbs, Miss Carol moves them for you. She gently bends your knee, rotates your ankle, flexes your hip. She is keeping your joints from freezing up, keeping your muscles from shortening and twisting into permanent deformities called contractures. It is a strange, disembodying experience to have your own body manipulated like a large, clumsy doll. Clumsy, then comes the stretching. This is pure, unadulterated pain. She stretches the tight, spasming muscles in your back and the backs of your legs, pushing just past the point of comfort to the edge of agony, holding you there while you bite your lip to keep from crying out. I know it hurts, she says, her voice calm and steady. But if we don't do this, the muscles will get shorter, and you will never stand up straight again. This period of polio recovery was the front line in a great philosophical battle in medicine. You are living the legacy of the Sister Kenny versus the traditional orthopedic debate. The hot packs were Kenny's. This focus on stretching and muscle re-education is also part of her method. A hands-on approach that flew in the face of the more traditional method, which often involved immobilizing limbs in plaster casts. Your body is the battlefield for their competing theories. After weeks of this passive work, you graduate to the parallel bars, 2 long wooden bars. Hip high, running the length of the room, Miss Carol and a hospital orderly lift you to your feet the moment your feet touch the floor. Your legs buckle. They are useless, like ropes. They cannot hold your own weight. You hang there, your arms draped over the bars, your entire upper body trembling with the effort. This is your new reality. You have the coordination of a newborn giraffe. Only the giraffe is probably having a better time. Day after day, you practice standing, just standing, for 30 seconds, then a minute, then 5. It is the most exhausting work you have ever known. One day, a man comes with a strange collection of metal and leather. He is an orthotist, a brace maker. He measures you with calipers and tape measures, making a detailed blueprint of your useless legs. A week later, he returns with your new appendages. The leg braces are a marvel of mid-century medical engineering and an instrument of torment. They are made of gleaming steel rods that run up the sides of your legs, connected to a thick leather and metal corset that laces tightly around your waist and hips. There are metal joints at your knees and ankles, and at the bottom, your heavy leather shoes are bolted directly to the frame. They are heavy, cumbersome, and loud. You are part boy, part machine. Learning to use them is like learning to operate a complex piece of equipment. To walk. You have to hitch your hip up, swing your leg forward using your back muscles, and then lock the knee joint with a practiced movement so it will hold your weight. Then you repeat the process on the other side. It is not walking, it is a controlled, lurching fall, clank, scrape, thud, clank, scrape, thud. You sound like a knight in a suit of very rusty armor. One afternoon, during a particularly frustrating session, when you have fallen for the 3rd time and are lying in a tangled heap of leather and steel on the floor mat, you simply give up. You lie there and refuse to get up. Hot. Angry tears streaming down your face. I can't, you say. Your voice choked with despair. I can't do it. Miss Carol kneels beside you. She doesn't try to help you up. She just waits. After a moment, she says, "Did you know the President of the United States had polio?" You shake your head. He did. She says, "Franklin Roosevelt. He was a grown man when he got it. Much worse than you. He couldn't walk at all, but he didn't let it stop him. He became the most powerful man in the world." This is a common story told to children with polio. A piece of historical inspiration. The reality that FDR went to extraordinary lengths to hide the extent of his paralysis from the public is a more complicated truth you won't learn for years. But in this moment, the story is a lifeline. You imagine the president, the man whose face is on the dimes in the collection cans, struggling just like you, You picture him in his own braces, refusing to give up. Slowly, painfully, you pull yourself up. You get back in the parallel bars, and you try again. The weeks turn into months. Your world is the ward, the physical therapy room, and the view of your parents waving from the window. But slowly, imperceptibly, you are getting stronger. The zeros on your muscle chart become ones. The ones become twos. You learn to move from the parallel bars to crutches. Your arms now taking the strain. The day of your great victory is quiet. Unannounced. You have been practicing for weeks for this moment. Miss Carroll stands at one end of the room. By the window. You are at the other. By your bed. There are no parallel bars. There are no crutches. There is just 20 feet of empty, polished floor. Okay, she says, her voice soft. Come to me. You take a deep breath. You hitch your hip. Clank. You swing your right leg forward. Scrape. It lands with a thud. You shift your weight. Your arms held out for balance. Now you do it again with the left. Clank. Scrape. Thud. It is not graceful. It is not walking. It is a lurching, terrifying, monstrous shuffle. But you are doing it. On your own. You keep your eyes fixed on Miss Carroll, on the window behind her. You do not look down. You take another step, and another. You are halfway across the room. Your legs are screaming. Your back is on fire. Sweat is pouring into your eyes, but you keep going. You reach the window and grab the sill. Your knuckles white. You have made it. You lean your forehead against the cool glass. Your breath coming in huge, shuddering gasps. You look down at the lawn below. Your parents are there. They have been watching the whole time. And they are cheering. Your mother has her arms wrapped around your father, and they are both laughing and crying at the same time. You look down at your own legs, encased in their steel and leather prison. This is not the freedom of running across a summer lawn. It is a harder, heavier, more complicated kind of freedom. But it is a victory. It is the first step, and it is yours. That small, hard-won victory at the window becomes the new foundation of your life. The 20 feet of polished linoleum between your bed and the window is your entire world, and you conquer it every single day. Each trip is a pilgrimage, a painful, clumsy, and glorious testament to your own stubborn will to live. The window is no longer just a portal of longing for a world you've lost. It is a destination you have earned. It is your perch, your watchtower, and from it, you begin to observe the war being fought in your name. You come to understand that your private battle is part of a much larger national conflict. The polio epidemic wasn't just a medical crisis. It was treated as a domestic war, and the entire country was mobilized. The general leading the charge was a man you knew only as a face on a coin. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. His own struggle with polio, a fact often carefully hidden from the public eye, was the driving force behind the creation of the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, the organization that would become a fundraising behemoth, known by a much friendlier name, the March of Dimes. It was a brilliant strategy. A war fought not with massive donations from the wealthy, but with the loose change of millions of ordinary people. It was a grassroots campaign that made everyone feel like they were part of the solution. Every dime dropped into a collection can was a bullet fired at the enemy. And from your window, you have a front row seat to this national crusade. You see it in the magazines your parents bring you. They've carefully torn out any frightening articles about the epidemic itself, leaving you with a strange collage of car advertisements and recipes for tuna casserole. But they can't tear out the ads for the March of Dimes. They are everywhere. You see the posters. The same ones you glanced at with idle curiosity just a few months ago. Now, they are deeply, profoundly personal. You see the famous image of a hopeful, smiling little girl on crutches, her legs encased in braces identical to your own. You are that girl. You are the face of the cause. the living reason for the dimes. One day, a nurse, Miss Carroll, your physical therapist, comes to you with a stack of paper and a pencil. Your school sent over some assignments, she says with a smile. But I think we have a more important one first. How would you like to write some letters? She encourages you to write to your family, your aunts and uncles, your friends. She helps you draft a letter that talks about how hard you are working in physical therapy and how much the hospital is helping you. Tucked into each envelope is a small, official-looking polio pledge card, part of a local fundraising drive. It asks the recipient to pledge a few dollars to the foundation. You have been recruited. You are now a soldier in the army of dimes. Your own story, the ammunition. It is the strangest homework assignment you've ever had. A few weeks later, your role in the war effort becomes even more public. A man visits the ward. He isn't a doctor. He carries a large, complicated-looking camera with a huge flashbulb on top. He is a photographer from the local newspaper, doing a story on the March of Dimes. He wants to take your picture. Miss Carroll helps you get into your braces. She combs your hair. She tells you to give the nice man a big, brave smile. The photographer positions you in the parallel bars. That's it, champ. Looking good, he says. His voice breezy and professional. Just look right at me. Think about hitting a home run. You try to smile, but it feels stiff and unnatural. You feel a hot wave of shame. You are on display. Your weakness, your withered legs, your cage of steel and leather, it's all being captured. To be printed in the newspaper for everyone to see. You are a specimen. You are an object of pity, designed to make people open their wallets. The flashbulb goes off with a brilliant, blinding pop, leaving dancing spots in your vision. It's in this moment that you begin to understand the complicated ethics of the war you're in. Historians and ethicists would later debate the practice of using poster children. Was it a necessary, powerful tool for a vital cause? A way to put a human face on a terrifying disease? Or was it a cruel exploitation of a child's private suffering for public consumption? Lying in your bed that night, you feel both. You are proud to be helping, to be part of the fight, but you also feel like a piece of you has been stolen. Your personal tragedy turned into a public commodity. The world outside your window continues its relentless campaign. You listen to the radio at the nurse's station, and you hear the voices of celebrities you recognize from the movies. Lucille Ball, Bob Hope, even the new sensation, Elvis Presley. His voice a smooth, deep drawl, asking everyone to send in their dimes to help kids just like you. It seems like fighting polio is the most popular hobby in Hollywood, right next to getting a swimming pool and a new convertible. You hear about the strange and wonderful ways people are raising money? A town mayor in Ohio sits on top of a flagpole until his community reaches its fundraising goal. High school students hold car washes and bake sales. Women's clubs host bridge tournaments where the winnings go to the foundation. It is a war fought with bake apple pies and dance-a-thons, a testament to a nation's collective will. And through it all, there is a new word that begins to filter through the news. A new promise that is the ultimate goal of all these dimes. The word is vaccine. The money is not just for the braces you wear or the iron lung Kevin still occupies down the hall. It is for the scientists. It is for men in white lab coats, working in far away, mysterious laboratories. You hear their names for the first time, spoken with a kind of hushed reverence by the nurses and doctors. Salk, Sabin. They are abstract figures, almost mythical heroes, locked in a race to find a magic bullet that will kill the monster. This is the genius of the March of Dimes campaign. It didn't just sell pity, it sold hope. It gave millions of people a tangible sense of investment in the scientific process. Every dime was a contribution to the future. A down payment on a world without fear. One afternoon, you're at the window, watching the street below. A parade is happening. It's not a big city parade, just a small town affair. The local high school marching band goes by, their tubas gleaming in the sun. A troop of Boy Scouts follows, carrying a large banner that reads, "Help us stamp out polio." They go door to door, not to houses, but to the cars stopped along the street, holding out their little cardboard collection cans, and you watch as people, ordinary people, roll down their windows and drop in their coins. A dime from a housewife in a station wagon, a quarter from a truck driver, a handful of pennies from a group of teenagers. You watch them, and you realize something profound. You are not alone in this room. You are not just a sad, sick boy in a hospital ward. Your personal, private tragedy is connected to all of those people. A whole nation is mobilized, fighting for you, for Kevin, for the girl on the poster. They are fighting for a future where no other child will have to lie in this bed. Look through this window. The knowledge doesn't make your legs work. It doesn't lessen the daily pain of your physical therapy, but it eases the terrible weight of your loneliness. It reframes your identity. You are not just a victim. You are a cause. You are a soldier, wounded on the front lines of a war your country is determined to win. And looking out at the sea of determined, hopeful faces, at the steady, endless march of dimes. For the first time since that terrible night when the doctor came to your house, you allow yourself to believe that your side is going to win. The feeling is fragile, but it is real. It is hope. The hope that bloomed in you while watching the March of Dimes parade is a hardy, resilient thing. It sustains you through another 2 months of grueling physical therapy. It is the fuel you burn as you graduate from the parallel bars to heavy wooden crutches. And finally, to the clumsy, shuffling gait that is your new form of walking. The day the doctor tells you that you can go home is a day of dizzying. Complicated emotions triumph. Joy, and a deep, gut-wrenching terror. Leaving the hospital is a surreal experience. The ward has become your entire world, a self-contained universe with its own laws and citizens. Saying goodbye is unexpectedly hard. You say goodbye to Miss Carroll, your therapist, who gives you a hug and a final. Stern reminder to do your exercises every single day. You say goodbye to the nurses, the women who kept you alive with their quiet, tireless efficiency, and you say goodbye to the other children, your fellow soldiers. You wave to Kevin, still in his yellow iron lung, his face a mixture of happiness for you and despair for himself. You are being paroled, and he is a lifer. The guilt is a sharp, bitter taste in your mouth. Your father's car is waiting for you. Getting into it is your first real-world challenge. It's an awkward, clumsy ballet of metal and flesh, trying to fold your braced legs into the confined space of the back seat. Your father helps. His movements gentle and overly cautious, as if you are made of spun glass. The ride home is a silent movie viewed through the car window. The world seems too loud, too fast, too bright. The ordinary sights of your town, the grocery store, the gas station. The familiar houses look strange and foreign, as if you are seeing them for the first time when you pull into your own driveway. Your mother is standing on the front porch, exactly where you last saw her. This time, she doesn't stay there. She runs to the car and pulls you into a fierce, trembling hug that smells of home and laundry soap and love, but your house, the sanctuary you have dreamed of for 6 long months, is no longer your home. It is an obstacle course. This is a common, brutal truth for survivors like you. The world you left behind was not built for the person you have become. The 3 simple steps up to the front porch are now a mountain to be scaled. Your father has installed a makeshift wooden railing, and you haul yourself up, your arms trembling, your braces clanking against the concrete. The front door seems narrower than you remember. The beloved throw rug in the hallway is now a treacherous enemy, waiting to catch the tip of one of your crutches. And then there is the biggest obstacle of all the stairs. Your bedroom, your private kingdom, is on the 2nd floor. Looking up the staircase is like looking up the face of a cliff. You sleep on a cot in the living room for the first week. A guest in your own house. You enter your bedroom for the first time, after your father has laboriously carried you up the stairs. It is a time capsule. Everything is exactly as you left it. Your baseball glove sits on the dresser, its leather pocket empty and waiting. Your stack of comic books is on the floor by your bed. A model airplane you were building hangs half-finished from the ceiling. But it feels like the room of a different boy. A boy you barely remember. A boy who could run. You touch his things. The artifacts of his lost civilization. And you feel like an archaeologist who has stumbled upon the tomb of a forgotten king. You are a stranger here. Your parents' joy at having you home is a palpable, overwhelming force. But it is tangled up with a new, frantic anxiety. They hover over you. Their face is a constant mixture of love and fear. Be careful, don't try to lift that. Let me get it for you. Their love is a soft, suffocating blanket. You know they are trying to protect you, but you feel like a fragile, priceless vase that might shatter at any moment. The true, heartbreaking challenge comes when you try to re-enter your old social world. A few days after you get home, your best friends, Billy and Mark, come to the door. You have been waiting for this moment with a mixture of excitement and dread. Your mother lets them in, and they stand in the doorway of the living room. Their faces scrubbed, their hair slicked down. They look like they are at a funeral. They stare at your legs. They stare at the gleaming steel braces, the thick leather straps. They don't know what to say. Hey, you say, your voice unnaturally loud in the quiet room. Hey, Billy says, his eyes fixed on the joint at your knee. Do those hurt? No, you lie. They're just heavy. An awkward silence hangs in the air. Mark shuffles his feet. We're gonna go play ball down at the park, he says. Wanna come? He stops, his face flushing red as he realizes what he's just said. I mean, wanna come and, watch. The offer is kind, and it is the cruelest thing anyone has ever said to you. You are no longer a player. You are a spectator. No, you say, I have to do my exercises. They nod. Relieved to have an escape. Oh, okay, well, see ya. And they are gone. The slam of the screen door a final. Percussive end to your old friendship. They don't mean to be cruel. They are just kids. And they don't know how to deal with the mangled thing you have become. You are a living reminder of the terror. You are the monster from the story. Returned home. Historians and sociologists would later analyze the complex social reintegration of polio survivors. You were not shunned. Exactly, but you were set apart. You were an object of pity, a walking cautionary tale. A symbol that made healthy people feel both guilty and grateful. You are living proof that the world is not safe. Your new life is a life of adaptation. The world is full of small, sharp corners, and you must learn to navigate them. Your father builds you a ramp over the front steps. He installs a second banister on the staircase, so you can slowly, painfully, haul yourself up and down. Your life becomes populated with the mundane. Unglamorous artifacts of disability, a long-handled shoehorn, because you can no longer bend down to put on your own shoes. A special spring-loaded grabber tool your father buys you. For picking up the comic books you've dropped on the floor. A raised wooden seat for the toilet. Because sitting and standing are now complex engineering problems. Getting dressed in the morning is a 30-minute wrestling match with straps, buckles, and uncooperative limbs. You spend hours each day on the floor. Doing the painful stretching exercises Miss Carroll prescribed. Your mother becomes your new physical therapist. Her hands now as firm and practiced as a nurse's. Your schedule, once defined by the sun and your own whims, is now a rigid timetable of exercises, rest periods, and the slow, arduous process of navigating your own home. One afternoon, you were sitting in your living room, watching the neighborhood kids play a game of tag outside your picture window. They run, they leap, they fall and get up again. Their movements effortless, fluid, and beautiful. They are like a different species. You're watching a broadcast from another planet. A planet to which you can never return. The grief hits you then. A clean, sharp pain that is worse than any of your physical ailments. It is a grief for the boy you were, the boy who could run without thinking, the boy whose biggest problem was a scraped knee or a summer cold. He is gone. He died in that hospital bed, and you, this new creature of leather and steel and quiet, stubborn anger, have taken his place. You look down at your own hands. They are your hands. You look at your legs, inert and alien in their metal cage. They are not. You are a stranger in your own body, a ghost in your own home. The joy of your return has evaporated, leaving behind the cold, hard, and devastating truth of what you have lost. It is not just the use of your muscles, it is the effortless, unconscious grace of being whole. The years that follow your return home are a study in adaptation. You learn to live in your new body, with its new rules and its new limitations. You learn to navigate the school hallways. The clank and scrape of your braces a familiar soundtrack to your days. You learn to endure the stares, the pity, the well-meaning but clumsy questions. You learn to answer yes when people ask if it hurts. Not because of the pain in your legs, which is a constant, dull companion, but because it's easier than explaining the deeper ache of all that you have lost. Your world is quiet, circumscribed. While your friends are trying out for the baseball team and learning to ride their bikes with no hands, you are perfecting the art of getting up from a chair without falling over, while they are discovering the dizzying freedom of adolescence. You are mastering the complex physics of climbing a curb. The ghost of the boy who could run is always with you. A silent, athletic shadow you can never outrun. The fear in the wider world, however, does not recede. Every summer, the old panic returns. Newspapers run the terrifying statistics. The March of Dimes posters go up again. The swimming pools, even if they remain open, are looked upon with suspicion. The war goes on, and the dimes keep marching. But the narrative begins to shift. The fundraising ads speak less of care and more of research. They speak of a great hope on the horizon, a scientific miracle in the making. The names you first heard in the hospital ward, Salk and Sabin, are now spoken on the evening news. They are the generals on the front line, and the whole country is waiting for news of their final, decisive victory. The news comes on a Tuesday in April, 1955. You are in the living room, doing your homework. Your father is reading the paper. Your mother is in the kitchen, the radio on, listening to a popular daytime drama. Suddenly, the drama is interrupted by a news bulletin. The announcer's voice is grave, filled with a momentous importance. We interrupt this program to bring you a special report. He says, today, at the University of Michigan, the results of the largest field trial in medical history have been announced. After testing on over 1 million school children, the polio pioneers. The vaccine developed by Dr. Jonas Salk has been officially declared safe, effective, and potent. There is a pause, as if the announcer himself is absorbing the weight of the words. Then he repeats them. Safe, effective, and potent. In the kitchen, a dish clatters to the floor and shatters. Your mother stands in the doorway, her hands pressed to her mouth, her eyes wide. Your father slowly lowers his newspaper. An absolute, stunned silence fills the room, and then your father begins to cry. You have never seen him cry before. Not when you were at your sickest. Not when you were in the iron lung. Not on the day you came home. But now, he sits in his armchair and silent. Thick tears roll down his cheeks. Your mother goes to him, and they cling to each other. Their relief a force so powerful it feels like a physical presence in the room. You sit on the floor, surrounded by your school books, and you watch them. You understand that for them. For every parent in America, this is the end of the war. This is VJ Day, the monster that has haunted their lives. that has stolen their peace every single summer has finally been slain. Your own feelings are a tangled, confusing knot. You feel a profound sense of relief. You are genuinely happy that no other child will ever have to go through what you went through. No more white wards, no more hot packs, no more iron lungs. It is a magnificent, unqualified victory for the world. But it is a victory that has come too late for you. It is like being a soldier who has lost a limb, only to hear that the war has ended the very next day. You are happy the fighting is over, but it does not make your own wounds disappear. You are a permanent veteran of a finished war. The rollout of the vaccine is a massive, unprecedented national effort. It is the logistical equivalent of landing an army on a foreign shore. But the first wave of euphoria is quickly followed by a new terror. News breaks of something that comes to be known as the Cutter incident. One of the pharmaceutical companies manufacturing the vaccine, Cutter Laboratories, has produced a batch that is faulty. It contains live, active polio virus, the vaccine. The magic bullet has inadvertently given polio to over 200 children, leaving some paralyzed and even causing several deaths. Panic erupts anew. The entire national vaccination program is halted. The monster, it seems, was not dead after all, and the cure might be a poison. You see the fear return to your parents' eyes. You hear the furious debates on the news. Was the vaccine rushed? Was it safe? The incident creates a crisis of faith in the very scientific establishment that was meant to be the country's savior. It is a stark lesson in the complex, often fraught relationship between scientific progress and public trust. A debate that will echo for generations. But the scientists and public health officials rally. They identify the error, fix the manufacturing processes, and implement stricter safety controls. The vaccination program restarts, and the public's faith, though shaken, is restored. By the time the next summer rolls around, a new, even easier vaccine is becoming available. It is the oral vaccine, developed by Dr. Albert Sabin. No more shots, just 2 pink drops of liquid on a sugar cube. Your family goes to get vaccinated at the local elementary school gymnasium. Your younger sister, who was just a baby when you got sick, is old enough now. The atmosphere is not like a hospital at all. It is festive, like a town fair. Long lines of families snake around the building. Volunteers from the PTA, women you recognize from your neighborhood, are directing traffic. Boy Scouts are handing out leaflets. You go with them. A strange, quiet observer. You stand in line. Your braces heavy and cumbersome on the polished wooden floor of the gym. You watch as your little sister gets to the front of the line. A nurse with a small dropper bottle squeezes 2 drops onto a sugar cube and pops it into your sister's mouth. There you go. Sweetie, she says. All done. Your sister chews it up and skips away. Completely untroubled. It's that simple. A lifetime of fear. Wiped out by a piece of candy? You can't help but feel a little cheated. You got a spinal tap and months of agonizing therapy. They get a sugar cube. You watch the other children, dozens of them, hundreds of them, all taking their vaccine without a fuss, without a tear. For them, polio will never be a real thing. It will be a story their parents tell them. A chapter in a history book. You are that history book. You are the living embodiment of the world they have been saved from. That summer is different. For the first time in your memory, the air is not thick with fear. The public swimming pool reopens. And this time, it stays open. The sound of children's laughter fills the afternoons. The old, familiar rhythms of summer, the ones you so painfully lost, have returned. One hot August afternoon, you're sitting on your front porch, doing your exercises, stretching your tight, uncooperative muscles. The neighborhood kids have set up a sprinkler in the middle of a lawn down the street. They are running through it. Their shrieks of joy, a sound you haven't heard in years. They are completely, blissfully, thoughtlessly free, A few years ago, their parents would have snatched them away from such a communal display of water and fun. A few years ago, you would have been one of them, running and shouting, your body an instrument of pure joy. Now, you are the quiet boy on the porch, the one with the strange, heavy legs. You watch them, and you feel a complex mixture of joy for their freedom and a deep, quiet melancholy for your own. The world has been healed. The great victory has been won, and you are so happy for them. But their world is no longer your world. You are, and will forever be, a citizen of a different country, the silent, vanished Republic of the Sick. The war is over, and you are left to patrol the quiet battlefields of your own body, a solitary guard, keeping watch over the long and lasting peace. Decades slide by. The world rushes forward, always forward, chasing new fears, new hopes, new technologies. But for you, a part of your soul is forever anchored in that one. Long ago summer, you are an old man now. The hair that was once a messy brown mop is thin and silver. The face that looks back at you from the mirror is lined with the map of a life. But your eyes are the same. They are the eyes of the boy who lay in the white ward. Watching? Always watching. You sit on your front porch on a warm summer evening. It might even be the same porch. The cicadas are singing their droning, electric song, the same one they sang all those years ago. The air smells of cut grass and impending twilight. Your body is an old, familiar country, with its own aches and pains, its own weather systems. The primary feature of your geography is, as always, your legs. Perhaps you still wear a light, modern brace on one leg, a sleek thing of plastic and carbon fiber that is a distant, space-age descendant of the heavy steel and leather cage you once wore. Perhaps you lean on a simple wooden cane. The specifics don't matter. The scar is the thing. The scar is not just in the withered muscle or the slight rolling gait of your walk. It is etched into your soul. It is a quiet, constant companion. It manifests in strange, small ways, a lifelong, mild claustrophobia that makes you uncomfortable in elevators, a deep, instinctual mistrust of doctors, even as you admire the science they command, an overdeveloped empathy for any creature trapped or in pain. You are a man who knows, in his very bones, how fragile the human body is, how quickly a perfect summer day can turn into a nightmare. You think, sometimes, of the life you might have had, the life of the boy who could run. Would you have been an athlete? A soldier? A man who worked with his hands? The virus closed those doors forever, but it opened others. Unable to rely on your body, you were forced to retreat into the world of the mind. You became a reader, a scholar, a man who found his adventure in the pages of books. Perhaps you became a teacher or a writer, your own experiences lending a quiet authority and a deep compassion to your work. Polio was a thief that stole your physical freedom, but in its place, it left a strange gift, the gift of a considered, deliberate life, a life of observation. The world, for the most part, has forgotten. This is the great and surprising legacy of a vanquished disease. Once the solution is found, the terror it once inspired fades with astonishing speed. Society develops a collective amnesia. You see parents worry about new things now: allergies, screen time, 1,000 modern anxieties. They walk their children past the old elementary school, never knowing it was once a vaccination clinic, a battle station in a desperate war. You are a living archive of a forgotten terror. Sometimes a child, maybe one of your own grandchildren, will ask about your leg. Grandpa, why do you walk like that? And you have to decide how to answer. How do you explain the iron lung to a child who has only known a world of effortless breath? How do you describe the fear that once filled every summer? To a generation that has never known a locked swimming pool, you give them the simple, true answer. When I was a little boy, there was a sickness. You say it made my leg muscles weak. But then some very smart doctors invented a medicine, a piece of sugar. That made the sickness go away forever. They accept this, because it is a story with a happy ending. And then they run off to play, their strong, healthy legs carrying them effortlessly across the green lawn. And you watch them with a love so fierce it aches, sometimes. In the quiet of the evening, the memories surface, unbidden. The sharp, medicinal smell of a camphor bag, the tinny jingle of the ice cream truck, a sound that for you will always be a prelude to disaster. The face of Miss Carroll, your therapist. Her expression a mixture of endless patience and fierce determination. The reflection of your own terrified eyes in the mirror above the iron lung. You think of the other survivors. The little band of 8 that became your family. You have outlived most of them. Matthew, the stoic mason, who helped you build a new life. Francis, who hid his terror behind a wall of jokes. You are the last one left, the final keeper of the flame that you all lit in that dark church so many years ago. You feel a twinge in your leg, a deep, familiar ache, a cruel epilogue to the disease called post-polio syndrome, a condition where, decades later, the motor neurons that survived the initial attack begin to weaken and die from overuse. The obscure detail that no one warned you about. The monster you thought you'd slain. Returning for one last, ghostly encore. It's a final, wry joke from the universe. But you are not afraid. Not anymore. The fear was burned out of you long ago, replaced by a kind of weary, peaceful acceptance. You look up at the sky. The first star of the evening is visible. You take a breath, a deep, easy, unconscious breath. It is a miracle. Every single breath you have taken for the last 60 years without a machine's help has been a quiet, uncelebrated miracle. This is the final truth of your long journey. The polio, the great mortality, the summer of fear. It was the defining event of your life. It took nearly everything from you. But it could not take your capacity for joy in the small. Ordinary things, the taste of a ripe tomato from your own garden, the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of a child's laughter, the simple, glorious, and entirely unremarkable act of taking a breath. The long shadow of that summer is still there. It will always be there. But you have learned to live in it, not as a place of darkness, but as a place of deep, cool, and quiet shade. You are not the boy who could run, but you are the man who survived. And in the end, you understand that this is more than enough. It is everything. And now, the story is over. The old man on the porch fades, and the summer evening grows quiet, leaving only the soft, gentle hum of the world easing into night. The memories of the white ward, the heavy braces, and the long-ago fear dissolve like mist, leaving behind only a sense of peace, of a long struggle finally at an end. Let the weight of his story lift from your shoulders. His journey is complete. His peace is earned. And now, a different kind of peace awaits you, here in the quiet comfort of your own room. Of the air around you grows still and heavy, a soft blanket inviting you to rest. Your own breathing is the only rhythm now, a slow and easy tide that washes away the last remnants of the day. Each breath you take is a gentle anchor, holding you in this calm, safe harbor. Feel the weight of your own body sinking deeper into the mattress, every muscle releasing its tension. Letting go of the world, there are no more stories to follow, no more challenges to face. There is only the profound, simple, and welcoming silence of the approaching night. Let the darkness be a comfort, a quiet, empty room where you can be completely at rest. Let your thoughts drift and soften, becoming as light and as formless as clouds. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to remember. All that is required is to allow yourself this moment of stillness, to surrender to the gentle gravity of sleep. The long day is over. The night is here to hold you. Rest now. Rest easy.